everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going back to the 80s for a sequel. But before we get into it, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic store. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And today we're going back to 1988 for a sequel to the original Critters. This one is Critters 2, The Main Course. This is perfect timing for this movie because this movie takes place on and around Easter. Critters 2 came out April 29th of 1988. It's rated PG-13. It's an hour and 26 minutes long. Had a budget of $4 million, so a bigger budget than the first film. And upon release, it only made 3.8. And this would be the last Critters movie to go theatrical. The rest of them would go direct to the video market. Now, this was directed by Mick Garris. This is actually Mick Garris's feature film debut. He had been a writer for quite some time. I think he'd done directed a couple of episodes of TV, but this is his first theatrical debut. In this film, we got Scott Grimes coming back as Brad, returning from the first film. Leanne Curtis plays Megan, the love interest to Brad. Lin Shaye is back as the same character from the first film, only this time she works for the local newspaper. And Barry Corbin is in this film as Harv, the sheriff from the first film. Emmett Walsh did not come back, so Barry Corbin came in, and Barry Corbin was a notorious character actor, many things. Always liked him. He was in War Games as the general. Great character actor, and he steps in here for Emmett Walsh. Now, if you remember the end of the first film, we saw some critter eggs left behind in a chicken coop. Well, that comes back in this film. This one guy from town finds the eggs and tries to sell them to the antique dealer in town. The antique dealer in town buys them and sells them to this church group that are going to have the kids make eggs for Easter, paint eggs for Easter. And all of a sudden, the critters start hatching and start running amok. The bounty hunters from space come back, and pretty much Brad is in town to visit his grandmother, and pretty much things go from bad to worse. And it all culminates in this final showdown with the Krites, and they kill all the Krites, and that's the end of the film, and that is Critters 2, The Main Course. Now, I know I glossed over a lot, but that's basically the plot here. What to like about this film? Well, the cast. The cast is good here, especially the returning cast, and our new cast is good. Leanne Curtis is good as Megan, as the love interest. There's a couple other new faces in here, but they're character actors you would recognize from other things. Mick Garris, for his first film, I think he handles it pretty well. I don't think that's the problem with this movie. The effects were done once again by the Chiodo brothers. They were back once again. They came back to do the effects right after they did their film Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And once they had a little bit more money and they had a lot more effects to do, and they pull them off wonderfully. The practical effects look great, and as they did in the first film. And we just get more critter action. We get more critters. And then we get that big ball critter at the end of the film rolling down the street and all over the place until they blow it up. And, that's how we kill all the critters, or the Krites. I will say, it's the first time I've watched this in a little bit. I've seen it more recently than the other sequels we're going to talk about, 3 and 4. I haven't seen those since the 90s. But this used to be on TV quite a bit in the early to mid 90s. I remember watching it on TV a lot, and I always liked this film. But I will say, watching it again, it's not as good as the original film. It definitely doesn't reach those. I think the first film is definitely the better film. I think this one kind of goes a little bit too goofy at moments. Not that there wasn't some goofiness in the first film, but they definitely play up the goofiness a little bit more. And I don't know, it just something seems off about this one, watching it again for the first time in a little bit. I will say the transfer on this from Scream Factory for the box set is really well done. It's the best the movie's ever looked. And I don't know if we'll ever get a 4K of these, but this looks pretty damn good. So if you're interested, this box set, you can do a lot worse. And there's a nice documentary on here with Mick Garris, the producers, some of the actors. So they definitely go deep in, and the Chiodo brothers they explain how they did some of this bunch of the special effects. So it's a really worthwhile documentary on this disc if you're a fan of this film. I still think this film's enjoyable. It definitely has that B-movie vibe, creature feature, and they do sell it. But I just don't think it's it's definitely not as good as the original film. I know I gave the original film an 8 out of 10. This one I'd probably give a 7 out of 10. I like it still. I think it's still a fun movie, but I think it's 7 out of 10 is pretty much where I'm at on this one. Yeah, 7 out of 10 for Critters 2, the main course. What are your thoughts on this one? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly appreciate that. That's it for this review. I hope you all have a great Easter holiday. I know a lot of schools down here on spring break this week. So until next time, bye.